Hi, my name is Haley Goins, and this is my presentation on the agents of socialization. My first slide is about my family. I grew up with my grandparents, Diane and Kevin. They're older than your typical mom and dad. I think that had a lot to do with how I was raised. I have older values and morals. I feel like I am more respectful as a person due to who I was raised by, and I feel like I have a lot of older beliefs than the newer generation do. They were big on manners and the way you treat people. They were big on dressing modestly and having a curfew. And so I feel like that affected my life greatly compared to other people my age. I'm very respectful of my older generation because of who I was raised by. And I also grew up with my younger brother, Troy. Growing up with just a brother in the household has a lot of effect on how you are socially as well. He was very rough and tough, and I always hung out with him, so I think that affected my personality as well. And for my next slide, I did my peer group. In high school, I had a very tight-knit group of friends. A lot of my friends were wealthier, and I didn't come from a wealthy household like that. So I was always putting up the perception like I had money, and I wanted people to believe that I fit in with that group. So I would dress and act a certain way to fit in with them and have people think that I'm part of them. My friends were very sweet, very loving girls, but they grew up in a different income bracket than I did. I grew up in a double wide trailer where they were living in gated communities, and I feel like that affected me a lot in high school. I was always worried about my image and how people would perceive me. But then again, they have affected me greatly by the way that they are and the way they treat people. We were always super sweet to each other. We always went out of our way to help others who were in need. But then again, I always felt like I had to have the nicest clothes. I would work extra hard. I worked 2 jobs just to put up this appearance and try to fit in with them. For my next slide, I did school. I attended Lincoln County High School, which is a smaller county. We had 1 high school in our county. Our school was it was based in the country, so we had a lot of country people. So our beliefs were shifted one way. We were very big into our sports and very big into different things like that. We all had a big pep section. For my next slide, I did the workplace. I work in childcare, and that affects me greatly because I feel like you have to put up a certain face when you're talking to parents. You have to think about when and what you do, how is that going to affect your life. If you post on social media certain things, parents are going to question who is really taking care of my child. So you have to act a certain way to make. When you're working in childcare, you have to be very professional and put up a professional face. I have to watch what I post on social media because I don't want parents to perceive me as somebody who is not worthy of taking care of their child. I have to dress very professionally because I don't want parents to believe that I'm lazy or that I'm not going to look after their kids to the full extent. At my job, I do lesson plans and I teach, so you have to pay very close mind to what you're teaching your kids. I teach phonics and reading, and that's a lifelong skill that they're going to need. So I have to make sure I'm doing my job properly because I can't let children get behind because you're setting a foundation for the rest of their education. And my next slide was religion. I am a Christian. I have always been a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household. I've always attended church, and I feel like that has shaped me more than anything else. Morally, I have certain rules that I have to follow. I have to make sure I'm not sinning regularly. When you're working in childcare, you have to be very professional and put up a professional face. I have to watch what I post on social media because I don't want parents to perceive me as somebody who is not worthy of taking care of their child. I have to dress very professionally because I don't want parents to believe that I'm lazy or that I'm not going to look after their kids to the full extent. At my job, I do lesson plans and I teach, so you have to pay very close mind to what you're teaching your kids. I teach phonics and reading, and that's a lifelong skill that they are going to need. So I have to make sure I'm doing my job properly, because I can't let children get behind, because you're setting a foundation for the rest of their education. And my next slide was religion. I am a Christian. I have always been a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household, and out of all the agents that were mentioned, I believe that the agent of religion has affected me most in my life, in my socialization. I have a certain set of moral guidelines that I need to follow to stand strong in my religion. Morally, I believe that I should act a certain way. I should have people perceive me a certain way. I don't want people to think that I'm rude and hateful. I want people to believe that I have a good heart and that I'm not doing anything that would affect me poorly in the future. The next agent I'm going to be talking about is government. Where I grew up in a small country community, Republicans are very dominant, and you feel like you have to be swayed a certain way based on where you live. You only see pretty much one-sided of everything. So growing up, I didn't know any different. I didn't know the difference between a Democrat and Republican. I didn't know how that affected somebody, but as I got older, you look into it, you go with whichever side you agree more with, and for me, I'm a Republican. When I was growing up, I was a Republican basically solely off of the fact that everybody else around me, my family, and everybody I went to high school was a Republican. But as I got older, I researched more, and I learned the true difference between them. Okay, and the last agent I will be talking about is the mass media. I feel like social media has a very, very strong pull on socialization. You want people to like you. You want your post to be liked. You want to be perceived a certain way on social media. You want to be popular. So I spend a lot of time personally making sure the way that social media perceives me is how I want it to. You post pictures, you post statuses, you post memories, you post all kinds of things on social media. I post my pets, pictures of myself, me and my husband, me and my family, things that mean a lot to me. But I feel like the mass media has a very strong pull on society. It can affect people very negatively. They can be too consumed with the way that other people on social media perceive them. It's hard not to get obsessive over, oh, how many likes did this post get? How many likes or comments did this post get? I was really bad in high school with being so consumed with how many likes I was getting. I would even go to the point where I would delete pictures because they didn't get enough likes. And as I've got older, I realized that doesn't really matter as much. But I'd be lying if I said that sometimes it didn't bother me. Social media has really hurt today's society, I feel like, because people are so worried with what other people say and think about what you post on social media. Okay, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.